Over here, me and my son seeded this. I planted some chicory, clover, alfalfa. I'm not expecting too much because the soil is not that well. It had a lot of ferns growing in it, and I did not spray it. I probably should have sprayed it, but I got some time off right now, so figured I'd till it up, plant it. If I gotta till it up again, that's fine. Now over here, this section that I just showed you in the walkthrough, I am going to plant corn in this as well. I don't expect the corn to grow hardly at all, but my overall plan is I want to plant switchgrass in here. So if I use corn, I can use the Roundup Ready, because it's Roundup Ready corn. I can spray the corn while also killing all the weeds, so that way this fall or this coming spring I can plant my switchgrass. So I'm just prepping it for the switchgrass. My property line's right over here, so it's nothing against the neighbors. I just think this is a good spot for a little bit of bedding and cover it with these pines. But along with that comes terrible soil. So I'm hoping it works. I guess it's an unnecessary way. I could just spray it through the summer, but I think it'll look like crap in my opinion. The deer ain't gonna bed in dirt. So at least if I try to get corn in, if the corn gets, 3-4 foot, I'll be happy with that, because it'll kind of give them something to lay down into. So I'm gonna get to tilling this up one more time, broadcast the seed, and then I'll cultipack it, wait for it to germinate, start growing. Once the weeds kind of take over, I'll spray it, and hopefully in the fall got something pretty good. So all right, let's get to it. So my main goal when I'm tilling, you'll be able to see here, I want a decent seed bed. So if you look here, it's more dirt, it's not clumpy. If you go over here, there's giant clumps. What I want to do is I want to get these clumps, because if I put seed in here, I mean it's gonna go down 3-4 inches. So I want it to be tilled up, so that way when I seed, my seed goes in there, I cultipack it, versus down over here. I mean, it could go way down here, and then you got 2 inches on top of your seed. So I just want to break this up so it's like that. You'll see is I didn't rip these pine trees out. I'm not totally 100% a believer that deer will just bed right in switchgrass. on my other hunting property, I've learned they like to kind of bed on the outside. Now, I'm not saying I haven't walked through and jumped deer. I have. But I want to leave these little clumps because I believe if I put switchgrass all the way around this, there's a really good chance that, you know, if the switchgrass is that tall, that there would probably be a deer bedded under there, because then they have cover, you know, they have shade. You know, you wouldn't want to try to take a nap on an asphalt road while it's, you know, 90, 100 degrees. You're going to be sweating your butt off. So a little bit of shade plus cover, I have a good feeling them deer would be bedded right in there. So something to think about. guys, well that's it. Got everything all seeded, cultipacked, ready to go. Now I just need some rain. Wait for the weeds to come up and spray it. I'd just like to take the time to thank everybody on YouTube. You know, all the people that make the videos, YouTube itself. You know, growing up in school, I was a pretty slow learner. You could hand me a book and I'd read the same paragraph probably 4 times, still trying to remember what I just read. So YouTube helps me, you know, learn through videos. I see it, you know, and then I'm good to go once I see it. So I'd like to thank my wife, my son. You know, they're awesome. You know, I get to do pretty much whatever I want. I'd like to thank Father in heaven, Jesus. You know, I'd have none of this if it wasn't for him. You know, I'm pretty blessed with everything I got. Man, I have so much. I'm man enough to admit that I have it because of him. I'd like to just take a minute and explain. You know, I understand. You know, a lot of people don't have the means or the tractors, you know, like I got. You know, when I started doing food plots, I started out with an old Farmall H, you know, and even, you know, before that I tried with a rototiller, and I'm pretty sure the weeds grew up just as fast as I could till them. So I understand, you know, this isn't for everybody, but if you have a buddy or somebody that has a tractor that can help you, you know, it makes it a lot easier. I love doing food plots, gets me out of the house. I love to see the food plots grow, the deer to eating them. You know, it's not always about killing to me. You know, I love to deer hunt, you know, and just to watch them eating the food plots, you know, sometimes is the reward. And or, you know, when I take my family out, you know, they get to come out here and watch the deer and the wildlife, and it benefits everybody. I love doing it. You know, yeah, it gets kind of pricey sometimes, but, you know, I'd spend the money on something else. Can't take it when you're gone. So, you know, hopefully this year I want to get the wife her first deer. She hasn't shot one yet. My boy, I want him to get a first deer. So, got a lot of first time things going on that we want to knock down, and you know, hopefully this food plot turns out. I'm new to YouTube. I've never made a video. This will be my first video, so hopefully it turns out all right. I'm learning as I go. Hopefully you're not more confused now after watching the video than before watching the video. I don't know if I'm gonna put this video out there and then put another video of how it turns out. Regardless, I'm gonna show you how it turned out because I'm curious myself. I've never planted this way. I don't know what to expect. So hopefully it turns out. I'll let you know and we'll go from there. Thank you guys so much for watching.